the night my father died. They were drinking champagne downstairs. I stood at the top of our marble staircase, watching crystal flutes catch the chandelier light, while my stepmother Evelyn orchestrated their little celebration. My name is Mila, and I was about to become the most hated person in my family. They just didn't know it yet. To freedom! Knox raised his glass, his voice carrying through our echoing foyer. And to dear old Dad, for finally doing us all a favour. Gianna's laughter pierced the air. Oh my God, Knox, you can't say that! But she was already reaching for the bottle, her designer bracelet jingling as she poured another round. I gripped the banister harder, my knuckles white. 12 hours. My father had been dead for 12 hours, and they couldn't even wait until his body was cold before starting their victory party. Mila! Terrell spotted me first, his fake concerned expression sliding into place. Come down, have a drink with us. It's what father would have wanted. No, it wasn't. What my father wanted was written in his will, locked in the study drawer behind me. The same study where I'd found him this morning, slumped over his desk. I'll pass, I said quietly, but Gianna was already sashaying up the stairs, champagne sloshing dangerously close to the cream carpet Evelyn prized so much. Oh, come on, Cinderella. She grabbed my wrist, her manicured nails digging in. Your evil step-family wants to toast with you. After all, we should celebrate as equals while we still can, right? I met her eyes. What does that mean? It means, Knox called up, that once the will is read, you'll finally understand where you stand in this family. Dead last, where you've always belonged. Evelyn didn't even bother to hide her smirk. Knox, darling, be nice. Mila knows her place, don't you, dear? I gently extracted my wrist from Gianna's grip. Yes, I do. See? Evelyn turned to the others. Now, who needs more champagne? I retreated to father's study, closing the heavy oak door behind me. Their laughter followed me, but it couldn't touch me here. This room still smelled like his cologne, like the leather of his chair, and the coffee he drank black every morning. My phone buzzed. Ingrid, my best friend, checking in for the 5th time today. I'm coming over, she said when I answered. Those vultures shouldn't be allowed within 10 miles of you right now. No, I said, running my fingers along father's desk. I need to be here. I need to remember everything about tonight. Mila? Her voice softened. What aren't you telling me? Through the door, I heard Knox shouting something about redecorating the West Wing. Gianna squealed about turning my room into a filming studio for her influencer channel. Do you remember, I said to Ingrid, last year when father started inviting me to Sunday brunches? Just the two of us? When he finally woke up and realised he had an actual daughter? Yeah, I remember. I opened the top drawer of his desk, touching the envelope marked Last Will and Testament in his bold handwriting. He wasn't just trying to make up for lost time. He was preparing me. Preparing you for what? Below, a champagne cork popped. More cheers, more laughter, the sound of music starting to pulse through the floor. Mila? I have to go, I said. But tomorrow, after the will reading, call me. You'll want to hear every detail. I hung up and sat in father's chair, remembering our last conversation here 3 days ago. He'd looked tired, but his eyes were sharp as ever. They think I'm blind, he'd said, pushing a folder across the desk. Show them I wasn't. But remember, revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Be smarter than that. I'd nodded, not fully understanding then. But now, listening to my step-family celebrate his death like it was New Year's Eve, I finally did. My phone buzzed again. Ronald, father's lawyer, confirming tomorrow's reading. I typed back a quick acknowledgement, then stood and walked to the window. Below, in the circular driveway, Knox was attempting to parallel park his Porsche, probably too drunk to manage it properly. Gianna's voice carried up. We should get Cinderella a little maid's uniform before we kick her out. One last family photo. I smiled faintly at my reflection in the dark glass. They thought I was the family punching bag, the quiet disappointment, the mouse in the corner. They had no idea what father had left me, or what I was about to become. Tomorrow, they'd learn that sometimes Cinderella doesn't need a fairy godmother. Sometimes she just needs a really good lawyer and her father's signature on the right documents. Ronald's office felt too small for all the tension crammed inside it. Evelyn perched on the edge of her seat, like a queen about to receive her crown, while Knox lounged with his feet propped on the coffee table. Gianna kept checking her reflection in her phone, and Terrell fidgeted with his collar. I sat alone in the corner, watching. "Shall we begin?" Ronald adjusted his reading glasses, pulling out the envelope I'd seen in Father's desk. "The last will and testament of Killian?" Yes, Evelyn waved her hand. "We know who it's from. Let's get to the important part." Ronald's expression didn't change, but I caught the slight tightening around his eyes. "Very well. To begin with the primary inheritance of assets, including Hernandez Industries, all properties, and associated holdings." Gianna leaned forward. Knox finally put his feet down. "I hereby leave everything to my daughter, Mila." The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds. "What?" Evelyn's voice could have cut glass. "That's impossible. There must be some mistake." Knox stood up, looming over Ronald's desk. "Read it again." "I can read it as many times as you'd like," Ronald said calmly. "The result will be the same. Ms. Mila is the sole heir to her father's estate and company holdings." Gianna's phone clattered to the floor. "This is a joke. It has to be a joke. Furthermore," Ronald continued, "any attempts to contest this will result in immediate forfeiture of the modest trust funds established for each of you." "Modest?" Knox slammed his hands on the desk. "What does that mean?" "It means," I spoke for the first time, "that you each get enough to live comfortably but not extravagantly. About $5,000 a month." "5,000!" Gianna shrieked. "My monthly spa budget is more than that." Evelyn stood slowly, her designer suit crackling with tension. "I was his wife. This will never hold up in court." "Actually," Ronald pulled out another document, "your prenuptial agreement specifically allows for this scenario. You'll retain your personal assets and receive a generous monthly allowance, but nothing more." "I'll fight this," she hissed, turning to me. "You think you can handle running a billion-dollar company? You'll destroy everything your father built." I met her gaze. "Funny you should mention destruction. Knox, you're fired from the board, effective immediately. Gianna, your company credit cards have been frozen. And Evelyn, security will escort you out of the mansion by tonight." Knox lunged forward, but Ronald's finger was already on the intercom. 2 security guards entered immediately. "This is insane," Terrell finally spoke up. "Mila, we're family." "Family?" I stood up. Was it family who threw a party the night Father died? Who called me Cinderella and planned to throw me out? "You little bit," Knox started, but the guards grabbed his arms. "Please escort Mr. Knox out," Ronald said. "And be gentle. We wouldn't want him to trip and hurt himself on the way to unemployment." As Knox was dragged out cursing, Ronald handed me another envelope. "Your father left this for you. Private viewing only." Evelyn's face had gone from red to white. "Whatever's in that envelope isn't any of your concern," I finished. "You have until 8 p.m. to clear out of the mansion. Don't forget to turn in your keys." "You'll regret this," Gianna spat, gathering her fallen phone. "You have no idea what you're doing." I smiled slightly. "Actually, I do. Father spent the last year teaching me everything about the company. Every contract, every account, every suspicious transaction." Evelyn's head snapped up. "What did you say?" "You heard me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a board meeting to prepare for. Ronald, please make sure they all receive their new allowance paperwork." I walked out, their protests fading behind me. In the hallway, I finally let my hands shake, just for a moment. Then I pulled out my phone. "Ingrid, it's done. Can you come over? I need to watch something." An hour later, we sat in Father's study, my study now, as I opened the envelope. Inside was a USB drive and a note. "Play me alone, but have a friend nearby after." The screen flickered to life with Father's face, recorded recently enough that my throat tightened. "Mila, my girl, if you're watching this, I'm gone, and you've just become the most powerful person in the room. They're going to underestimate you. Let them. But remember what I told you about the company books? That was just the surface. They're rotten, baby girl. All of them. Tear it down, or you'll rot with it." He leaned closer to the camera. "But be careful. The deeper you dig, the darker it gets. Starting with the real reason I'm not there to tell you this in person. The video ended. Ingrid touched my arm. Mila, what did he mean by that? I stared at the frozen image of my father's face. It means I need to look into his death, and I think I know exactly where to start. The Hernandez Industries executive floor hadn't changed since my childhood visits. All gleaming wood and floor-to-ceiling windows that made everyone feel small against the city skyline. I walked past my father's old office, now mine, straight to my target, Andy Gomez, COO, who was pretending to be very interested in his computer screen. We need to talk, I said, closing his door. He looked up, expression carefully neutral. Ms. Mila, congratulations on your new position. Save it. I dropped a stack of financial reports on his desk. Explain these discrepancies to me, starting with why we're showing losses in departments that should be profitable. Andy leaned back, studying me. Your father trusted me? And now you work for me, so either start talking or I'll find someone who will. He smiled slightly. You sound just like him. He reached into his drawer and pulled out a flash drive. I've been keeping records. Your father asked me to, about 6 months ago. I plugged it into my laptop. Spreadsheets populated the screen, hundreds of them. What am I looking at? Evidence. Knox has been laundering money through shell companies for years. Evelyn helped cover it up by manipulating the books. Your father was gathering proof, but he died before he could act on it. Andy nodded. There's more. Check the folder marked Project Glass. I clicked it open. Contract scans filled the screen, all bearing signatures that looked suspiciously like mine. Dates from just weeks before Father's death. These are forgeries, I said. Gianna's work. She's been signing your name to transfer ownership of smaller company assets. They were preparing for this, Mila. They thought your father would leave everything to them, and they wanted you stripped of any claim. My phone buzzed. Ingrid sending me photos from the mansion. Evelyn had cleared out, but not before trying to take several valuable paintings. Security stopped her. Why are you showing me this? I asked Andy. He stood, walking to the window. Your father saved my career once, when everyone else wanted me gone. He saw something in me. He turned back. I see that same something in you. I need copies of everything. Already done. He handed me another drive. But be careful. Knox has friends in dark places. And Evelyn, she's more dangerous than she looks. I thought of the party, of champagne and laughter while Father lay cold. I'm counting on it. Later that afternoon, I visited Father's grave. The marble was still fresh, flowers still bright. I placed a single white rose among them. I found the rot, I whispered, just like you said. My phone rang. Ronald. Mila, we have a problem. Someone's trying to access your father's private accounts. The attempts are coming from inside the company network. I smiled grimly. Let me guess. Knox's old office? Yes. Want me to block it? No. Let them dig. I want to see how deep they'll go to hang themselves. I ended the call and touched the cold marble one last time. I'm going to shake the walls of everything you built, Father. Not to destroy it. To clean it. Back at the office, I called Andy to my new office. I want every contract Gianna forged, every transaction Knox buried, every lie Evelyn told the board, and I want it by morning. That's a lot to compile. Then you better get started. I handed him a coffee. Because tomorrow, we're going to war. He took the cup, hesitating. Your father once told me that revenge is a poison. Good thing I've built up an immunity. After he left, I opened my laptop to draft a press release. The cursor blinked accusingly at me, while distant memories surfaced. Gianna cutting up my prom dress, Knox, accidentally, pushing me into the pool at parties, Evelyn's constant subtle digs about my mother. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Back off now, or we'll show the world who you really are. K. I screenshot it and forwarded it to Ronald before replying. Thanks for the written threat. My lawyers will love it. Another message came through, this time from Terrell. Please, Mila, we can work something out. Family shouldn't fight like this. I ignored it, focusing instead on the press release taking shape on my screen. Tomorrow, the first domino would fall. Gianna's carefully curated influencer empire would crumble when the forged contracts hit the news. Let them think they can threaten me. Let them think they know who I am. They created this version of me after all. Now they get to meet her? The press release hit at exactly 9 a.m. By 9:05, Gianna's phone was probably melting from notifications. Fraud investigation reveals forged documents at Hernandez Industries, the headlines screamed. Every major business outlet picked it up within the hour. By lunch, Gianna's carefully curated Instagram was flooded with comments asking about the forgeries. Her sponsors are dropping like flies, Ingrid reported, scrolling through her phone. Luxury brands don't like being associated with fraud. My office door burst open. Knox stormed in, security rushing behind him. "I'm sorry, Miss Mila," the guard panted. "He just ran past." "It's fine," I said, not looking up from my computer. "Let him speak. I'm sure it'll be entertaining." "You think you're so clever," Knox snarled. "You have no idea what you're doing to this family." "Family?" Now I looked up. "Like how you threatened Sarah in accounting this morning? Told her if she didn't delete those transaction records, you'd make her regret it." His face went pale. "How did—" "Security cameras, Knox. I own them now, remember? Speaking of which," I pressed my intercom. "Please escort Mr. Knox out. And this time, make sure he doesn't come back." As security dragged him out, my phone rang. Evelyn. "We need to talk," she said smoothly. "Privately. Over tea, perhaps?" I checked the time. Right on schedule. "The mansion. 1 hour." Ingrid grabbed my arm. "It's a trap. Obviously." I gathered my things. "That's why you're coming with me. Bring your phone. Record everything." The mansion felt different now. Emptier, cleaner. Evelyn waited in the formal living room, a tea service laid out perfectly. "Darling," she smiled, all warmth and poison. "Sit. Let's discuss this like civilized people." I sat across from her. "Nothing to discuss, but I'll listen to whatever threat you've prepared." "Threat? No. She poured tea with practiced grace. "I have proof that you've been embezzling funds. Documents showing transfers to offshore accounts in your name. Very convincing ones. Forgeries, like the ones Gianna made. Who would believe you? The bitter stepdaughter, jealous of her successful siblings, stealing from Daddy's company." She sipped her tea. "The board would have no choice but to remove you." I took out my phone, tapped the screen, and played back her words. Her cup clattered against the saucer. "You recorded everything?" "Yes, and Ingrid's recording from the other room too, plus the security cameras I had installed last week." I stood up. "You taught me well, Evelyn. Always have backup. You little—" "The board meeting starts in an hour. I wonder how they'll react to this recording. Combined with the evidence of your involvement in Knox's money laundering?" Her mask cracked. "You wouldn't dare. Try me." I walked to the door, then turned back. "Oh, and Evelyn, that tea you just drank? It's the same brand you used to serve Father. Funny how his heart problems got worse after you started making it for him." She went rigid. "What are you implying?" "Nothing yet, but I'm having the remaining tea bags tested. Interesting what labs can find these days." I left her there, hands shaking around her cup. Ingrid met me in the hallway. "That was terrifying," she whispered. "And brilliant. It's not over." I checked my watch. "The board meeting—" My phone buzzed. "Andy. Mila," his voice was urgent. "I found something in the medical records about your father's death. You need to see this now." "On my way?" I turned to Ingrid. "Send that recording to Ronald. Then call security and have them escort Evelyn out. Permanently this time." "What about the board meeting?" I smiled grimly. "Oh, that's still happening. But first I need to see what Andy found, because I have a feeling our tea conversation wasn't just psychological warfare." In the car, another text came through from Terrell. "Knox is losing it. He's talking about making you disappear. Please, let's just talk." I forwarded it to Ronald with a simple message. Add witness intimidation to the legal complaints. The company building loomed ahead, glass and steel reaching into the clouds. Somewhere in there, Andy had found proof of what I'd suspected since that night of champagne and celebration. They hadn't just been waiting for Father to die. They'd helped him along, and now they'd pay for every drop of poison they'd ever served with a smile. Andy's office looked like a tornado of paperwork had hit it. He barely looked up when I entered. focused on spreading documents across his desk. The original autopsy report was buried. He said without preamble, "This is the preliminary one, before it was amended." I picked up the paper. "Cause of death. Cardiac arrest due to—" "Look at the toxicology," Andy pointed. "Specifically the levels of his heart medication. The numbers meant nothing to me, but Andy was already pulling up comparison charts on his computer. Your father's prescribed dose was 25 milligrams. This shows levels 4 times that amount in his system." My hands started shaking. "That's not possible. He was always careful with his medication. Unless someone was tampering with it?" Andy pulled out security footage. "This is from 2 days before he died. The grainy video showed the mansion's kitchen. Evelyn entered at 7:15 p.m, made tea, and then—" My breath caught, pulled something from her pocket, and added it to the cup. "There's more," Andy said quietly. "The amended autopsy, signed off by a doctor who received a $50,000 wire transfer the next day, from an account linked to Knox." I sank into a chair. "They killed him?" "We need to be careful how we handle this," Andy warned. "One wrong move and they could destroy the evidence." My phone buzzed. "Ingrid." "The police are here. Evelyn called them, claiming you threatened her life with poisoned tea." I almost laughed. "Perfect timing. Tell them I'll be right there with some security footage they might find interesting." Back at the mansion, 2 officers stood in the foyer while Evelyn put on her best grieving widow performance. "She's unstable," she was saying, "threatening me with poison, just like she probably did to her poor father." "Actually," I interrupted, "I'm glad you brought up poison." I handed the officers a flash drive. "This contains security footage you might want to see, along with some interesting financial records and medical reports." Evelyn's face went chalk white. "We also have the original autopsy report," Andy added, appearing behind me, "and documentation of certain payments made to alter the official cause of death." "These are serious allegations," one officer said. "They're lies," Evelyn snapped. "She's trying to frame me because she's jealous." "Of what?" I cut in. "Your failing marriage to my father? The way you and Knox stole from his company? Or how about the way you celebrated the night he died?" The officers exchanged looks. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to come down to the station." "You can't, I won't." Evelyn's composure cracked. Knox handled all of that. I just did what he said." "And the tea?" I asked softly. "Was that Knox's idea too?" She lunged at me, but the officers caught her arms. As they led her away in handcuffs, she screamed, "He loved the monster in me. That's why he married me. Guess that's in you now too." Her words followed me into the study, my father's study, where I collapsed into his chair. Andy and Ingrid hovered nearby. "We should call Ronald," Andy said. "Get ahead of the press on this." "Already done." Ingrid held up her phone. "He's drafting a statement now, but Mila? Knox is still out there, and he's got nothing left to lose." My phone chimed with an email from Ronald. Inside was a second video file from my father, marked, "Open only after the truth comes out." I pressed play. "If you're watching this," Father's tired face filled the screen, "you figured it out. About Evelyn, about Knox, about what they did to me. But revenge is a road that ends in darkness, Mila. What you build next determines if you win or become them." I closed the laptop. "Call security. Have them pull all footage of Knox's movements for the past week and get me everything on Gianna's current location." "What are you thinking?" Ingrid asked. I touched the frame of Father's photograph on the desk. "I'm thinking it's time for a family reunion. One final gathering to end this." "They'll see it coming," Andy warned. "Good." I stood up, straightening my jacket. "Let them come prepared. Let them think they have one last chance to win." And then I smiled, thinking of champagne glasses and victory parties, of poisoned tea and forged signatures, of all the nights I'd spent being the quiet one, the weak one, the one they never saw coming. And then we show them what real monsters look like. The security footage showed Knox entering his private gym at 3 a.m, probably thinking no one was watching. He was wrong. I had eyes everywhere now. "Got him," Andy said through my earpiece. "Sending security teams to all exits." I stepped out of the elevator into the dim gym. Knox was destroying a punching bag, his expensive suit jacket discarded on the floor. Working out some frustration? I asked. He spun around, eyes wild. How did you... You can't be here. Actually, you can't be here. This is my building now, remember? Your building? He laughed, a harsh sound. You think having your name on some papers makes this yours? I built this company while you were playing dress-up in Daddy's office. Is that what you told yourself while stealing from it? I held up my phone, showing bank transfer records. Or when you paid off the medical examiner. His face darkened. You don't know what you're talking about. The police have Evelyn. She's talking Knox, telling them everything about Father's death. She's lying. He kicked the punching bag. Whatever she said, security footage doesn't lie. Neither do bank records or toxicology reports. He moved faster than I expected, closing the distance between us. But before he could reach me, 2 security guards emerged from the shadows. Touch me, I said calmly, and assault charges will be the least of your problems. You think you've won, he spat. You have no idea what's coming. I've got friends in places that would terrify you. You mean like Marcus from the offshore accounts? Or James who handles your special transactions? I smiled. They've already made deals to testify against you. The colour drained from his face. That's impossible. Everyone has a price, Knox. You taught me that. I nodded to the guards. Hold him here. The police are on their way. Wait! His voice cracked. We can make a deal. I know things. About the company. About Father's other secrets. No deals. I turned back to him. But I'll give you what you never gave me. A choice. Confess everything now, or let the evidence speak for itself. Either way, you're going down. The only question is how hard. He slumped against the wall. You're just like him. A monster wearing a suit. No, Knox. I learned from watching you and Evelyn. Every cruel word, every scheme, every betrayal. You were excellent teachers. My phone buzzed. Gianna was live on Instagram, having a very public meltdown about the lies being spread about her. Your sister's next, I told Knox, though she's doing a pretty good job destroying herself already. She didn't know about Father, he said quickly. About what we did to him. That was just me and Evelyn. I recorded his words on my phone. Thank you for the confession. The elevator dinged, and police officers poured in. As they read Knox his rights, I stepped closer to him one last time. Remember the night Father died? When you were all drinking champagne, I whispered. I recorded that too. The jury will love hearing how you celebrated minutes after murdering him. They led him away, his threats echoing through the gym. My phone buzzed again. Ronald. Knox's arrest is already hitting the news, he said. Gianna's trying to book a flight to the Cayman Islands. Stop her. Freeze everything. I want her accounts, her passport, her entire world locked down by morning. Already done. But Mila, there's something else. Your father left another directive with me. About what to do after justice was served. I leaned against the punching bag Knox had been attacking. What kind of directive? He said, tell her to look in the safe behind my portrait. The combination is her mother's birthday. That's all. After hanging up, I stood alone in the gym, thinking about monsters and suits, about revenge and justice, about the thin line between the two. Ingrid found me there 10 minutes later. You okay? Knox confessed. Evelyn's in custody. Gianna's trapped. I looked at my hands, expecting to see blood, but finding none. Why doesn't it feel like enough? Because it's not over, she said gently. You still have to face what this has turned you into. My phone lit up with a news alert. Hernandez Industries heir arrested for murder. Family empire crumbling. Come on, I said, heading for the elevator. We have a safe to open. Behind Father's portrait, one last truth waited. One final lesson about revenge and its price. I just hoped I was strong enough to hear it. The mansion's grand ballroom sparkled under crystal chandeliers as New York's elite gathered for my first gala as CEO. Every major business figure, socialite and journalist had fought for an invitation. They all wanted to see the quiet daughter who'd brought down an empire of lies. Quite a turnout, Andy said, appearing at my elbow with champagne. though I notice you didn't touch your glass during the toast. I've developed an aversion to champagne, I replied, thinking of that night. Any word from our special guests? He checked his phone. Police are bringing them up now, right on schedule. The safe behind Father's portrait had contained one final surprise. Proof that Terrell, my youngest stepbrother, had been selling company secrets to competitors. Not just recent information, years of data, starting when he was barely 20. Ms. Miller? A server approached. Your presence is requested by the entrance. I nodded to Andy. Time for the show. The crowd parted as I walked through, whispers following in my wake. Near the grand doors, 2 police officers stood with Gianna and Terrell in handcuffs. You couldn't even let us leave quietly, Gianna hissed. Her designer dress couldn't hide how gaunt she'd become since her sponsors dropped her. Quiet? I raised an eyebrow. Like how you quietly forged my signature? Or how Terrell quietly sold our trade secrets? Terrell's face crumpled. I had debts. Knox said if I helped him, save it for your lawyer. I turned to the gathering crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption, but I believe in transparency, which is why I wanted you all to witness this moment. Cameras flashed as the officers led them away. Someone started applauding, then another, until the whole room joined in. Quite a performance, a familiar voice said behind me. I turned to find Ronald. Not a performance, I corrected. Justice. Is it? He handed me an envelope. Your father left this with me, said to give it to you after you'd won, after you'd become exactly what he knew you would. Inside was a single photograph. Me at 6 years old, sitting on Father's lap in his office, both of us laughing. On the back he'd written, Remember her. She knew how to smile without winning. The party continued around me, but I barely noticed. Andy took the stage, announcing the company's new direction. Transparency, accountability, ethical leadership. The crowd cheered each point. My phone buzzed. Ingrid sending me security footage. Knox was being transferred to federal custody. Evelyn's plea deal had been rejected. Gianna and Terrell would face industrial espionage charges. I'd won. Completely. So why did Father's words from the video haunt me? What you build next determines if you win or become them. A young employee approached me, one who'd suffered under Knox's leadership. Ms. Miller, I just wanted to say thank you for making things right. More followed, each with a story. How Knox had threatened them, how Evelyn had manipulated them, how they'd finally felt safe coming forward after I took control. Your father would be proud, Andy said, rejoining me. The company's stock is up 30% since the arrests went public. Investors love a redemption story. Is that what this is? I looked around at the glittering crowd, the flowing champagne, the celebrating faces. Redemption? It's whatever you make it. He gestured to the stage. They're waiting for your speech. I walked to the podium, the room falling silent. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, fireworks began exploding over the city skyline. Just as I'd planned, perfectly timed. A year ago, I began, I stood in this room while others celebrated what they thought was their victory. Tonight, we celebrate something different, not revenge, but renewal. The crowd hung on every word. In the back, I saw Ingrid wiping away tears. My father built this company on trust, I continued. That trust was betrayed. But from today forward, we rebuild. Not an empire of fear, but a legacy of integrity. More fireworks painted the sky. I thought of that photograph, of a little girl who laughed without agenda. To new beginnings, I raised my water glass, and to remembering who we were before we learned to wear masks. The room erupted in applause. As I stepped down, Ronald caught my eye and nodded slowly. He understood what I'd finally realized. I'd won the war, but the real battle would be remembering how to live in peace. The fireworks continued, each burst illuminating the ballroom where I'd once been called Cinderella. Now I was queen, but at what cost? The mansion felt different in the pre-dawn quiet. I walked through each room, touching door frames, remembering. The spot where Knox pushed me at 13, the kitchen where Evelyn brewed her poisoned tea, the stairs where Gianna mocked me that final night. My phone buzzed, Andy confirming the board approved my sabbatical. He would serve as acting CEO while I was gone. You don't have to do this, Ingrid said from the doorway. She'd been watching me pack all night. The company needs you. No? I picked up Father's journal from his desk. The company needs to heal. So do I. Where will you go? Somewhere without champagne parties or board meetings. I smiled faintly. Somewhere I can remember how to sleep through the night. My phone lit up again. News alerts. Knox's sentencing. 20 years. Evelyn's trial date set. Gianna and Terrell accepting plea deals. The headlines called it justice. They called me a hero. They didn't see the shadows under my eyes, or how I flinched at sudden movements, or how every sip of tea made me think of Father's last drink. The car's ready, Ronald said, appearing with my final paperwork. Everything's arranged. The trust will manage your shares. Andy has full operational authority and the donations, I interrupted. He nodded. As requested. The majority of your inheritance will fund education programs for underprivileged students. Your father would have approved. He wanted me to build something, I said. Not just destroy. Ingrid hugged me tight. Call me, every day, or I'm coming to drag you back. Deal. I handed her a letter. Give this to Andy when the press asks why I left. She read it quickly, tears forming. I choose not to become what I fought against. Sometimes winning means walking away. The sun was rising as I walked down the mansion steps one last time. Each click of my heels echoed with memories. Gianna's laughter, Knox's threats, Evelyn's cold smiles. At the gate, I paused. Ronald? That night, when they were celebrating, did Father know about all of it? He knew enough to make you stronger than them, he said quietly, and wise enough to know when to stop. I touched the iron gate where Gianna once sneered, "This will never be yours." She was right, in a way. The mansion, the company, the power, they were never what I really wanted. I wanted justice. I got it. But justice and peace aren't the same thing. The driver opened my car door. Inside was a single envelope, another video from Father, marked, "For when you're ready to heal." I played it as we pulled away. My brave girl! His face filled the screen, younger than in the other videos. If you're watching this, you've won. You've avenged me, exposed them, taken everything. But knowing you, you're not celebrating. You're wondering if you've become just like them. Tears blurred my vision. The difference is, you're asking that question. They never did. That's why I knew you were the right choice. Not because you could beat them, but because you'd know when to stop fighting. The mansion disappeared in my rearview mirror. So go, heal. Find that little girl who used to laugh in my office. She's still there, under all that armor you had to wear. And when you're ready, if you're ready, come back. Not for revenge, not for power, but to build something beautiful from all this pain. The video ended. My phone buzzed one last time. Terrell. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, his message read. But thank you for stopping us before we destroyed everything, including ourselves. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened Father's journal, finding his last entry. My daughter will win, but her real victory won't be in destroying them. It will be in choosing not to become them. The city skyline shrank behind me as my driver took the highway exit. Somewhere ahead was a small coastal town, a rented cottage, and silence. No champagne, no boardrooms, no security footage to review. Just me, learning to sleep again, learning to trust again, learning to be the daughter my father saw beneath all the scars they gave me. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But healing? Healing burns like fire, consuming everything until something new can grow from the ashes. I was ready to burn, ready to grow, ready to prove that sometimes the biggest victory isn't in what you take. It's in what you choose to leave behind.